Krásný a příjemný podvečer. Připadla mi milá povinnost přivítat vás tady na dnešní besedě. Příběhy z holokaustu známe určitě všichni, ale známe je opravdu dobře. Myslím si, že je známe spíš zevrubně. A to, jaké pocity lidé prožívali v tomto období, se snaží přiblížit výstava, kterou její autorka Táňa Klementová nazvala Hlasy. Je instalována za pomocí umělé inteligence, která však nespracovává toto téma samostatně, je tam využité pouze modulace hlasu. Modulace hlasu, které jsou svým způsobem odosobněné a čtou dopisy lidí, kteří právě v tomto období žili, co prožívali. A já jsem moc ráda, že jeden z těch příběhů, které se v této výstavě představuje, je příběh rodiny paní Rachel Alon, kterou tady můžeme co nejsrdečněji přivítat. A to je ona, prosím. A besedujícím s ní se stane pan Efraima Berkoviče, kterého tady také srdečně vítám.
Dobrý večer, většinou by se budu probíhat anglicky, vzhledem k tomu, aby to bylo plynulejší nějak a tak dále, ale určitě nějaké věci budu tady uvádět z té knížky Davida Plačka, tak bude to česky. A dokonce pokud se potřebuje nějaký překlad nebo nějaký souhlas něčeho, tak dejte vědět, jo? Ale většinou bude anglicky. No. I'm really glad to see here Rachel. And actually I have to say that always these family stories they reflect the history of the entire people, of the entire land, of the entire humankind actually. So I was really happy to we met each other for the first time some months ago, something like this.
Yes, in Večer, in Israel.
In Večer, yeah. Although actually that book I've read before that, and also a few times I visited Café Placek.
We are honored to have the owners of Café Placek here. Thank you for coming. Yes, please. Jiří Placek, my relatives, I'm so proud, and you have to go to the best coffee in Brno and Café Placek. Really? Yes.
And so actually I wanted to somehow discuss with you from the example of your family, and actually the stories of your family are really inspiring stories. And one of these stories is described here in this book. Another story, actually, you can see it from this exhibition here of your grandparents. And on these two stories, and also the story of your own family, by the way, you have some book which you published about your own life. I've seen a few movies that you created. You have also books about your life or your family?
Not yet.
So
Not yet. It's always harder to write your own story. That's true.
Yeah.
You need somebody objective, or else you...
But in any case, I'm looking forward to hear your story as well. And
Thank you.
And actually, from these stories, I would say Itka told here completely. She was completely right regarding the stories of the Holocaust. But the stories of the Holocaust, on one part, actually, those the stories belonging to the past. But somehow this past is defining our presence and also our future. So because of that, we are going to talk not about the Holocaust, and actually primarily not about Holocaust, but about other stuff today. And we are going to talk about maybe, it is going to be kind of flowing discussion, and we don't know yet where will it take us actually. but in kind of two circles. One of the circles actually is, it is always more comfortable to me to base on books. So one of the circles actually is the circle of European Jewry, but not only Jewry, and the other circle is the circle of Israel. Israel, state of Israel, before state of Israel existed and everything, and of course those circles are not identical. They have a lot in common, but they are not identical, and we will try to somehow cover it as well today. Actually, is the first thing that I wanted to ask you, and to read a bit from this book, the first citation. Rozhodl jsem se, že můj životní příběh stojí za zaznamenání, a to nikolik proto, že bych byl výjimečný, ale spíše proto, že je odrazem evropských meziválečných dějin a tragických následků dvou světových válek.
What happened? Joe jumped. Okay.
Do you mind telling us a little bit about what you're reading?
I will translate immediately because I will translate immediately because actually in any case
But let me say something that I find significant, because David wrote his memoir in English, and it was translated into Czech. Although he was Czech by origin, of course, he is one of the Nicky Winton survivors. He went to England when he was about 13 and a bit, after his bar mitzvah. But he, I am telling a little bit before. He, after the war, he immigrated. He was a short time in Israel, and then he immigrated to Australia, and adopted Australia as his homeland after many years of hardship in also communist Czechoslovakia after the war. So I think it's interesting because mother tongue German, father tongue Czech, memoir originally written in English and translated in Czech by the very good offering of Martin Reiner, who is the CEO of this Mali Merrill. Okay.
So all the citations, actually it is the longest one, but all of them I'm going to translate. Vypraví taky o osudu jedné židovské rodiny, které se ocitly ve víru těchto dějinných událostí a o jejich zoufalé snaze přežít. He talks here that actually he tells us the story, the history of his family, not because of this family or this history is something extraordinary, but because it really truly reflects the history of the Jews between the two world wars. And of that, actually, it is interesting to us, not about something extraordinary of itself. And actually, we can understand that only even from the names of the contents of this book. Homeland, Palestine, back to Czechoslovakia, Hitler, where can we go, kam se vydat, rozdělená rodina, separated family, after the Second World War, life in the army, after the army, Karlovy Vary, escape from Soviet occupation, new homeland, and epilogue. Which means that actually really this concrete person, actually his life actually is the life of, or reflects the lives of everyone, or in many cases. And actually it is one of the things that I wanted to discuss with you today. How does it reflect the history of European Jews? And you can see that he was born here, and then he was born in Palestine. He was born in Palestine, actually. He was born in Palestine, and then they came back here, and then they moved to Israel again, and then they came back to Czechoslovakia, and then to Australia, and everything. So actually all of this migration, all of those things have been described here. And it is one of those circles that I wanted to discuss with you. And another circle actually regarding what was in Israel, and you see that actually there is a lot of overlap between what was happening in Israel and his own history, right? Because he came to Israel, and for some reason they decided to leave Israel, and they came again and decided to leave again, and it's really important. Important on the side, on the right of itself, but it's also important as it touches the Israeli history. And about the Israeli history, you sent me a few weeks ago some article published in an Israeli newspaper, and actually that article talked about two narratives, really fundamental narratives of Israeli society that somehow were put under a huge under a huge question mark, unfortunately, in the last 2 years of the war in Gaza. And those two narratives of Israeli society were that Israel is a safe shelter for Jewish people, which means that it is the safest place for Jews in the world, and it proved to be not true in the last 2 years. And another narrative which states that Israeli society and the Israeli army is the most moral army in the world, which is also might be not that true in this, at least in these 2 last years. And also there is another narrative, and to that other narrative also actually your family has some kind of a personal connection. There is a narrative which is called in Hebrew Kibbutz Galuyot. Kibbutz Galuyot is the collection of Jews from all the world, from all from the West and the East and everything, and all of them actually together came together to Palestine, to Israel, in order to build together a new society. And actually it is your family history. Your father is from Czechoslovakia. Your mother is from Yemen.
Yes.
She
I'm
came,
waiting till you let me talk.
Yeah. Now, immediately.
Now,
yeah. So, is your mother from Yemen? She came by herself?
No, she came with her family. She was 3 years old. Can you all hear me out there? My mother and father met in Israel. She came as a small child on a camel from Yemen, 1933. She, with her parents, and at the time, 4 brothers and sisters. They came for Zionist reasons. Now, the chance that a Yemenite would meet Czechoslovak, I think only in Israel, land of miracles. My mother was a nurse. There is a good story about my mother in Israel in early times. Well, you had to go to school only 8 years, and if you wanted to continue your education, her father said to her that it's okay. She wants to continue to learn, but he cannot afford it because it was private. And she left school. She left the house. She was 14 years old, and she went to live in Givatayim, which is near Tel Aviv, a big city. She was an au pair for a German family. She helped raise their child. And in return, I think she absorbed a very German culture. My mother knew everything about Villoriboch, crystal, carpets, making appointments on time, dressing nicely. I took the Czech side. No, just kidding. And my parents met at the hospital. My mother was a nurse, and my father came to visit a friend that was ill. And I want to believe they fell in love and decided to create a family together. it's not, in those times it was not very common, because I don't know if the European immigrants were the Ashkenazi, or the educated, or the actually leaders of the new forming Israel was done by Mapai, which is like the Labor Party, and a lot of Jews that came from Arab countries like Yemen, Iraq, Iran, their culture was maybe not so accepted, taught. But my parents made it work. How long should... Yeah, so this is important, because in a lot of these lectures I hardly talk about my mother. And I would not be here if it was not also for her. But when I come here to Czechia, I feel like this is the land, or the cradle of my, at least half of me. So yeah, we continue.
So, but we actually begin, which means that actually your story is the story of this third Israeli narrative of Kibbutz Goliot, for
yes.
sure.
Well, okay, we can talk about that, because as I said, my mother kept the exotic part of Yemenite hospitality or Orientalism that was a little bit majestic. She raised us, I would say, on the European side of things. It was listen, my mother ran away from her home to be au pair because her father thought her education ended after 8 years of school, and she wanted to advance. She had two sisters that did not know how to read and write. Only the boys in Yemenite families learned how to read from the Bible and do prayers. And my mother always thought, or felt in her heart, I don't know what you think when you're 14, but she, in a very good instinct, understood that if she wants to advance herself, she needs to be educated, which is a good tip for everyone. You want to make a good life for yourself, get an education. So when she married my father, she kind of crossed to that side. She did not listen to what she called like Arabic music. She loved Mozart, she loved Bach, she was a member of the Philharmonic, not as a player, but...
subscriber.
So, yes, and only in university, my own education, I was exposed to literature that was written by Arab Jews. Mm-hmm. So we're trying, I think, to make it better now, but we have so many problems, so I don't know when we'll get to that.
Yeah. So, but for sure your own family is the positive example of this Kibbutz Goliot.
I would like to think so, yes.
Yeah, because this Kibbutz Goliot actually a bit later, the same narrative was attacked from the other part actually, as the entire story of Mizrahi Jews being suppressed by Ashkenazi Jews, and actually it is being forwarded by some political forces as well. But personal stories are really important here on this background, I would say. And actually here, I would go a bit further and talking about your grandparents. So actually your grandparents from both sides were actually Zionists, right?
Yes.
From your mother's side, they decided to come.
Right. 1933, this is before the land of Israel was established, and before Jews from Arab countries were expelled after 1948. So
they came by themselves. They were not expelled.
Yes, and well, Tekla and Friedel, they met in Palestine. They both arrived to be pioneers for the Zionist movement. And Hefziba was a kibbutz of Czechoslovaks, and they married. They had 2 sons. I can tell you a little bit of juice. David, in David's memoir, he states their marriage a little. Well, he did not. The man was about 85 years old when he wrote this, and still he thought it was not okay that he was born when his parents were not yet married. So I have the documents. They first had their firstborn, David, and then married, and then had my father, Joe. Where was I? Yeah. The Zionist dream, I think, brought many Jews to come to Palestine and see if they can revive the land. And talking of narratives, when I went to school, the narrative was that Israel was a desert, nobody lived there. The Zionists have saved the land. Yes, and Ade Gordon was a socialist who believed in Hebrew work and Hebrew communities, and I think we are struggling till this day with this conflict of, well, of course it's not true. I mean, there were people living in the land of Israel before the Zionist movement came. I don't think we did a good job, actually, if I may say so, because my grandparents, they left Palestine because my grandfather understood that the socialism that Zionist presents excludes a lot of other human beings. The Arabs, to begin with, that lived hundreds of years before. And he had, I think, like an ideological crisis. He could not stand the attacks of the Arabs on the new settlers, and the new settlers wouldn't give in. And they decided to return to Europe with their 2 sons.
It was exactly what I was going to ask, and you already answered this before I asked it. Yeah, at the beginning, actually, you called them chalutzim, pioneers who came, and after that, they became frustrated from the situation and came back.
True.
Can I just ask, where was this Czech kibbutz? Where was this?
Hefziba, it's near En Harod.
Oh, okay.
Bet Alpha En Harod, it's in the north of Israel.
I was in En Harod.
Okay, so it's really close. I'll tell you about it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
By the way, I according to this book, actually, I see that your grandparents were not the only who were somehow not happy with the implementation of those ideas, because he writes here, at least, for example, about the family of Auerbach. They're friends from the kibbutz, and they met them again in Prague, which means that they also decided to come back to Prague, actually, to come back to Europe to leave Israel for some reason. But it should be a great disappointment for them, right? And let's say about the disappointment, David Placek talked by himself. You've had a lot of discussions with him, right?
Yes.
He was talking a lot about this disappointment, about his search to belong somewhere, his search for homeland, for his disappointment of Zionism. You have discussions about it or not too much?
In my younger years, I was, I think, more of an idealist than I am today. And I was upset with him for not. For not living in Israel, because
he actually was a betrayer.
well, not that,
Okay.
not a traitor, but in my eyes, a Jewish person should live in the only state that the Jewish people have. But later, he explained. I mean, later in my life, he explained it was impossible for them to stay once his sons got letters to join the army, because in Israel, army service is mandatory. Everyone has to go at the age of 18. And when he told me, listen, I've been through World War II, I've been under communist regime, I am not doing this to my boys. So I think I really understood it once I had my own children. You want to go as far as you can from conflict, and Australia seemed to be the perfect place to do it.
The far.
Yeah, it's
farthest
the end.
possible.
It's down under. It's the end of the world.
Can I
So,
just ask, what year did he come back to Czech?
1940. He came in. Okay, he was after the Kindertransport and the war ended. He came back as a soldier to Prague, and he met the woman that he fell in love with before, and they got married in Karlovy Vary, and they were stuck here until '68. They could not leave, but in 1968 he took his whole family via Vienna to Israel, and then they stayed 2 years in Israel with my father and our family. But 1970, my father got a post in Washington, D.C. He was the air attaché, and the whole family left with him. We all went to America. And that's exact same time when Petr and Pavel got their enlisting. And Irene, who was not Jewish, in Israel had a hard time. And they decided, okay, the war, the army service, Joe and Dvora not here to support their immigrating years. They said, we're going to Australia, which they are, well, Irene is still alive. David passed. Irene is the wife of David. Yes.
So they stayed at Rachel nearly for 20 years?
Yeah, under communist regime. This is after the war, yeah. So you cannot blame them, really.
Yeah, and by the way, they told you that in Israel they suffered from kind of xenophobia because she was not Jewish, or you just didn't discuss with her?
I did not discuss it. It's really delicate. You see, the time where you can have this type of conversation with your relatives is when you are old enough, and sometimes they're not there anymore. So you don't get a chance to talk to them about it.
Yeah, it's a too sensitive topic for sure. Yeah. By the way, on just something completely different. Actually, from this book, I've learned a lot of interesting stuff about the Second World War that I wasn't just aware of it at all. Which means that it doesn't reflect only the history of Jews between two world wars, but the history of Europe and the entire world. For example, I was really sure, to be honest, that Kinder's transport is something negative. Because it's a German word, you know, and the German words sound to our ears somehow negative on the context of the Second World War. But Kinder's transport, actually, it was something that saved the lives of your father and his brother, right?
We have other Winton survivors, children of Nikki Winton with us, because we were in a conference today, and I really want to thank you for coming. And yes, Nikki Winton arranged 8 kinder transports out of Prague to England and saved 669 Jews. And I urge everyone to go see the musical wind tone that is playing in your city theater.
Can I just say something? I think that the word was adopted for this mission or this scheme because a lot of the Kindertransport came from Germany and Austria. And so it was natural that the word Kindertransport was used because you were moving children. So,
but it's a German word.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. It's a German word, but why I'm saying it was adopted was because the majority of those on the Kindertransports, plural, were from Germany and Austria. Mm-hmm. And so that was a term that was used apparently in the German documents. It was used just because, and they used the same word Kindertransport to send the children to the concentration camps.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So because of that, it's kind of...
It's a strange thing.
Yeah.
But because the Germans had the majority say in the mythology around the Kindertransport, that was what was kept. So that's why, I think.
So Nicholas Winton actually, he organized a few Kindertransports by himself, right?
Yes.
And your father and his brother actually were part of that. By the way, they told you some stories of themselves?
I had not a chance to talk to my father at all. He was murdered in Washington. Oh, there you go.
He was murdered?
In Washington, he was the... Okay, I'll start before. My father, as you see here, he 1945 came back to Czechoslovakia to find out that his parents died in Auschwitz. But 1948 he joined the Air Force, the flying course that the Czechoslovaks offered to, it was not Israelis yet, it was Jewish people. So yeah, okay, let it go.
He's not happy.
Yeah, he's not happy. Actually, I think he is because he was trained as a pilot here in Czechoslovakia, Olomouc, and then came to Israel as a pilot. He became a fighter pilot, very known, very renowned. He was a commander of an air base, and his last position was air attaché in Washington, where 1 month before we came home, was shot dead in front of our house. So I was 5 and 4 months old at the time. I did not speak to my father about anything, and I don't remember. I have blurry pictures of it. But with David, I did talk, and as I said, the conversations were. I'll give you an example. I came to visit him when I was 22. I finished my military service, got a backpack, and went to Australia. And he picked me up from the airport. This is some years ago. And as we were driving out of the parking lot, there was an automatic machine to pay the fee for the parking. And I was so impressed that there is nobody that you need to pay or talk or tickets or... And David looked at me and he said, you know, this machine took a job from an immigrant who does not know the language, but could have sat here and earned a salary. So I think he was a great humanist, my uncle David, and he knew what was important for people that get somewhere and don't speak the language and maybe don't know the culture and what is expected. So we had conversations about my military service a little bit, about him not wanting his sons to be soldiers in anything, how he volunteers in driving trucks, minibuses of old people's home, taking them to the shopping mall, distributing food for people who live alone. So I believe David was actually practicing in his life in Australia how to give to others what he has received as a child when he had nowhere else to go.
By the way, regarding Australia, actually, and I know that this question can be problematic and maybe we cannot answer it completely, but I'm really interested to know your opinion. David in this book many times is talking about a search for homeland. And actually, it is his history, right? He was in Palestine, and he was in Czechoslovakia, and he was once again in Israel, and he was in Australia. And I think at the end of the book, this book, actually, he writes that he found this homeland in Australia. It was your feeling as well, that he felt at home in Australia, or maybe just wanted to believe that finally he found this motherland?
I think, well, he had a group of Czech friends in Australia.
Okay.
They used to talk Czech, they used to dance polka, they used to play the harmonica, and okay, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Thank you. So I'm not sure how much he felt. I knew he was grateful because Australia accepted him in open arms. He had a dignified job, so does his wife. His sons see Australia as their homeland, although one of them is more into integrating into Australia, and the other one is still, he has a heavy accent, and
one of his sons?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because listen, they were speaking Czech like until the age of 14, 15. Czech is a hard
Language.
It's a hard language and a hard accent to get rid of. So I think Paul and Peter now are integrated into Australia, but probably their children more.
So it's a classical history of immigration, right?
Right.
The first generation doesn't do it for itself, somehow for its children or even grandchildren.
Right. There is where David came to visit us in Israel when he was for his 80th birthday, and he came anyway, although no insurance company was willing to insure him. He had a heart condition and he was old, and he said, well, I'm coming to visit you girls anyway because I know if something happens to me, you will take care of me, which is true. But thank goodness nothing happened in that trip, and we had a conversation about old age and his expecting to die soon, because he at that point we were very, very close with each other. It's not like he was trying to be a father figure or I expected him, but he was the closest thing to a father that I had. Mm-hmm. So really, we talked about things that usually you don't talk with your uncle about. And I asked, what is he going to do with, what's the plan? And he said, well, I talked to my doctor, to my Jewish doctor, and I will be buried, and then when he did pass away, some 4 years later, I got, of course, a devastating phone call from Paul, and he said his father passed, and I said, so where's the ceremony? Where is he going to be buried? And he said, well, my father is not going to be buried. He asked to be cremated. Mm-hmm. Okay, for me it was a total shock. I could not speak for a long time, because I don't know if you know, but Jews do not, it's forbidden in Jewish religion to be cremated. You have to be buried. And for me, cremation always goes to the Holocaust. I mean, Germans cremated people, you don't choose it for yourself. So he asked to be cremated and for his ashes to be scattered in the port where he arrived to Australia first time. And he talks about it in the book.
Exactly. So it's
you can read that part in Czech.
So it's
yeah, please.
Second.
Weren't they thinking about moving back to the Czech Republic after the Velvet Revolution? Did you feel that?
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah, I somewhere
Okay.
actually we talked about it, but I don't
It's okay.
find it currently. Yeah, so it means that for sure it was kind of romantic relation towards that country, Australia, maybe also towards Great Britain.
What was Great Britain?
Some kind of nostalgic.
I don't think so. No,
No?
not to Great Britain. No.
Really? Mm-hmm. Interesting. Yeah.
Well, he's 14. He has to go on a train. He does not speak the language. He got there working in a farm, in a family that I don't know how they communicated, at least at the beginning, this Czech German speaking and these British.
So
He never felt like England was home. No.
So he suffered there?
Okay, all right. You all know what it's like to be a child outside of your home. Of course you suffer. It doesn't matter if they give you bed and food and hugs. It's not your mom and pop.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you live.
You live, exactly. That's important. But you understand that only later.
Like 40, 50 years later.
Later, yeah.
Yeah, it's something completely different. You mentioned here, actually not you, David Placek mentions his book something which somehow relates to what we were discussing some months ago. And actually he describes the Six-Day War between Israel and Arab countries in 1967. And he writes here actually that the entire world, maybe talking about the entire world, he talks about Europe or something. But in any case, the entire world admired Israel for what happened and how it happened and everything. And both of us know that this sense of admiration towards Israel primarily does not exist currently anymore, although you have different experiences in Czech Republic till today.
That's true.
Yeah, so it is interesting, but of course this feeling has been significantly changed and shifted since then. But currently I would like to take it to another direction. You actually established an educational program with the Czech schools.
That's true. Okay, so
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the question? How do I help spread prejudice? Okay, education is the most important thing. The Czech Republic has been advocating for Jewish people and for Israelis forever, at least 1,000 years. And me personally, I'm thankful and grateful. The thing about the program is that if you know somebody, you don't fear them so much. So this goes back to Nikki's. We found out in the Nikki Winton Children conversations that a lot of us actually work or volunteer in educating the public, that we are human beings and that we want the same things and we're not so different as our leaders would like us to believe or are trying to divide and conquer. So when I was in the Czech Republic for the first time for my letní škola of Czech language in Dobruška, and I said to myself, I'm going to break all the teeth I have, but I have to conquer this hard language. It was a life-changing experience for me, because you can only imagine, and I hope you don't have to do it, I lost my father when I was 5. And my mother never remarried. I had to overcome, or at least be strong enough to even look at what I have or had and lost, and not just at the big hole that he left behind. So I come to Dobruška, and I have this Czech course, and sometimes it sounds familiar. It feels like it's, I know this language, I heard it before. It sounds soft and hugging. And then I know that my father and his brother, one in Israel, one in Australia, or in America and Australia, they used to talk on the phone in Czech, of course. So you know, when you're 5, you're not sure what is true. But what happened with this course is that I found a home here, and I wanted a home in my heart, and I wanted to pass forward or do something that would show, first of all, my appreciation to this country who taught him how to fly and gave him a career and helped establish the state of Israel with giving it weapons and training people, but also to show young people from here and from Israel that we don't only share history together, we have to form the future together, to see that we all want the same things. Israeli children today have no idea about the history and how Czechs helped establish the state of Israel. Czech children, I'm afraid, on the other hand, are like every other youth in the world, fed by social media, by what they see in the news. They can easily be misled. And I thought that if I make a bridge, and I have a year program where Czechs come to Israel and Israelis come to Czechia, and we get a chance to be friends, then neither sides will be easily influenced by people that don't want to really tell them the truth, but they want to feed them something else for a purpose.
And actually the war of the last 2 years actually was not good to that program, unfortunately. And I am asking this question now because now we might be in a better situation already, right, after the truce.
Oy vey. Look, Israel is I should really go with a sign saying, I am not my government. Because I cannot agree with its policy. I am devastated. I have 2 sons in the army fighting a war I don't believe in. Oh. I hate what we are doing to the population in Gaza. Oh. It's really very hard. Even before the 7th of October, I was demonstrating for democracy.
We were there together.
Right.
We didn't know each other. But.
No, but we were there together. The thing is, I'm afraid that the liberals, the humanists in Israel are not a majority. I think like the world movement of nationalists and right-wing, and there's just one answer. No don't give us all this information, it's too confusing, we just want an adult to tell us what is right and we follow him like sheep. It's not the only problem in Israel. The problem is that in Israel, if we are not ערבים זה בזה, how do you say that in Czech?
If you don't act like one man altogether and you go for the
if we don't,
main purpose,
if we are not united, but not in a artificial way, if we don't care for
Speak with one voice?
yes, no, speaking in one voice, no.
Sympathize with
If we don't take care of each other, this is a biblical thing. We can't exist. We have no. We're a small country and we are surrounded by enemies. So if we don't stick together and care about each other and worry that the other person is okay, we can't make it. And of course, there's all these political speakers that say that our enemies have found out trees between the different tribes inside Israel, and that's why they attacked in October 7th. But that's not the reason, really. But what I'm trying to say is that being in a country where your voice is not heard or is overlooked, when you believe that you are fighting for democracy and justice and balances, and Likud party is in the government for 20 years. We had no problem with Likud or right wing. It's okay. I respect that you're the majority and you can rule the country. But what is happening now is the leaders are forming a dictatorship. They are ruling they are a majority and they are
Technically, they're not a majority.
Well, they in the government they say, and that's what you do. So technically they're not, but in life they are.
their own profit and benefit.
Yeah, and yeah. So.
By the way, Arovim za lize česky se může to říct, ručíme jeden za druhého, navzájem ručiteli.
Postavit se jeden za druhé.
Do you want to take questions?
Yeah. So
audience?
Yeah. So.
You suggested that the COVID era was quite tough for the program. That was the main.
Well, COVID was hard for the program, but we did it online. No delegations came because nobody could go and come back. But I'm afraid that this year we did not survive the program because each and every Czech school said we cannot participate this year.
Really?
Yes.
But now it can change after the truce, right?
I'm not sure because it's not like Israelis that we recover chick-chack and we're saying, okay, we have our 20 hostages back. We are dealing with returning the bodies of our brothers and brothers, only brothers. The sister came back, but the Czechs they plan ahead. They have to make sure that they have enough manpower and the teachers and the trip to Israel. I don't see how they can fit it into the schedule.
There is another layer of this as a problem because most of the schools, I think, are afraid of the more leftist opinions of the students who would feel more pro-Palestinian, and they might not be willing to take part in the program.
You think it's currently
I think that also could be a
it's not because of the safety concerns or something like this?
Also, but this is what I really heard from some people.
Teachers?
From teachers and directors of the schools, yes.
Well, we have a teacher of the program in school. Bara is the teacher in the Joea Alona Connection program from Boskovice. Already 5th year? Yeah, wow. And well, they never said it's because of the war.
They would never say that.
Yeah.
They would never say
Just
that.
to be honest, I've never heard that, even of my students' parents, vice versa. And the main thing, I think, is really the fear of an immediate attack and their safety. That's what I really feel while having a discussion with the parents, as well as our headmistress. In fact, we were more or less officially just the only school who did the year program as that was supposed to be. So in December, we started in September. In December, that was the first delegation to Israel. So I took 15 students and we went there and we had an incredible time in there. And I think that was the time when my life friendship started to the country and to my peer teacher. And then they came here in June. And we had incredible, again, 9 days in here. We traveled the country, we went up the mountains, we went to Prague, we went to caves, to Moravian coast, so visited all together so many places, and the friendship worked incredibly. They just had their own programs during the evenings and night, which was quite better not us to know. And but everything was fine, everything worked perfectly, and a few of them, they are still in touch. And that was the only year when this program was fulfilled completely, I would say. Then again, some just online lessons, and it was due to the 7th of October. And but last year, even though we had just 3 Israeli and 3 Czech students, we did the year online at least. But still, this year we're thinking we definitely didn't step out. Sorry, but not.
Okay.
We didn't.
Yeah, but with the war, the times have changed.
Yes, it
That's
changed.
my point.
Yes,
That was my
but
point.
we are trying to find a new way. Everything
of
is
course.
changing in progress, so we are trying to find the new way. Maybe because no parents would give me their kids to go to Israel. No way. It would be just my decision if I want to visit. Tell Rachel, it's just me. But we are trying to find new place, so maybe in England, or let's go to Shumava Mountains or elsewhere, for somehow to create the delegation for both sides, not just for both parts, even though that might be a bit more expensive, it would be different, they wouldn't visit their homes, but my idea was that we all bring our culture together, and the most important thing is to spend the time together. And this is what can we provide somehow to the students, even though they wouldn't touch their homes, both sides. That because I thought it wouldn't be fair if the Israeli students just visit our homes and my students can't come elsewhere. So the safety was really, I would say, the only, maybe I wouldn't find 15 students, but still, if I can find 10, I think it's fine to me, or it's fair. And I think our relationship is quite good enough that they can say without difficulties what is the reason why they would join or wouldn't. But the part is going to extremes. It is reality. But to be honest, I can't feel that at our school.
By the way, and maybe the last question, because already we
exceeded our
time. Actually, when you mentioned that current government ignores parts of the population. Actually, for example, your family, your father was one of the founders of the State of Israel, actually.
Well, not the state of
Not the
Israel,
state,
but
the army and
the Israeli Air Force, yeah.
the Air Force, and which means that contributed a lot to the
It's a good thing
strengths
he's
of the
dead.
country.
Really, he wouldn't stand it. Nor him, nor my mother. Ooh, there you go.
Yeah, and actually the last question regarding that, and I wouldn't ask that question, but actually you already mentioned it a couple of times today, and you already have some movies about it, documentaries and everything. When you said that actually our government is not necessarily us, it can be ideologically, of course, but it also can be personal, right? Because you don't rely too much on Israeli government, even of 50 years ago, about the conclusions of the murder of your father. You want to say something about it, or just refer people to this information, because it is available, and you and your sister actually are talking there.
Oy vey, it's another 2 hours now. The fact of the matter is that Joea Alona was murdered in the capital of the United States, and this was July 1st, 1973. The FBI has conducted an investigation. The Israeli authorities did not. Until this day, we don't know who shot him and why. We have the daughters. After my mother passed, we have submitted a petition to the High Court in Israel and the Supreme Court, and it was discussed, and the Israelis had to give us all the information they have. Of course, they didn't. They said it's classified. The Americans brought us 8 boxes of FBI investigation that said nothing. So we don't know who killed Joea Alona. And why? And this is a very frustrating truth to live with. To understand that your father served all his mature life as for the state of Israel, and endangered his life in numerous attacks and flying fighter planes. But when the time came to give answers to the family, the government said, "Sorry, we don't know." So. Yes, this is.
What did you suspect?
We think it's the Americans, because it was 3 months before the Yom Kippur War, and my father was in Washington, and there was like a conspiracy of the United States with Egypt and Jordan to take over the Middle East, and Henry Kissinger was really meddling everywhere in the world where he could, and money talks, and they wanted to become patrons of the Arab countries, and and get the Russians out of the region. So you do that via war, and you supply weapons to both sides, and you make a lot of money. And I'm afraid that money speaks more than we would like to believe. And the Americans had their own interest, because it's weird. It's weird. This is weird.
Why did your dad go to America?
He was the air attaché. He was appointed by the Israeli government to be the air attaché in the... Oh my goodness, sorry. I think we're out of time.
It's the same thing now. It's the same thing with Americans.
Yeah, definitely. There are people who serve their country, and they are somehow been betrayed by their country. It's not only in Israel, of course.
It's very actual to what's happening in Israel nowadays too, as many young people feel. That you serve the country, you put your time, you put the effort, and then when the time comes, the country that you fought and worked and contributed so much for leaves you empty-handed and just walks away.
I'm sorry. We really, I feel responsible for this because I am a citizen of Israel and I vote every time. And not only that, I do what I can with my means as an individual. And I raised 4 children in the country, and we pay our taxes and we do our duties. But when you need something in return, it's like not there. So it's actually it's very hard now to be in his, for me, because things are happening that I cannot support and I don't support. But when people see me, I'm an Israeli, and they don't, unless they talk to me, they don't know what I think.
How do you perceive people leaving Israel?
Well,
moving out?
I understand it today much more, because when you have no power over the decisions your government makes, you have to make a life. And you know, living in Israel is a dangerous thing. You can die in any moment. And life is more important, really. And it's very difficult for me to say. It's not like I'm saying it lightly. Because you remember at the beginning I told you Israel is the home of the Jewish people. But what happened to us on October 7th was a Holocaust. In a smaller scale, much smaller, but people were taken from their, it was a pogrom.
Yeah.
And we established the state of Israel
To protect
to have a place on earth. And when the government failed to do it, still failing to do it, you say, okay, I'll get a better life somewhere else. I don't want to finish in this note. This is too hard.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to finish on a more optimistic note.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So we discussed, we didn't want this discussion to be some kind of nostalgic discussion about grandfathers and grandmothers, but about something which really relevant to our lives, to our present and to our future. And because of that, the discussion was very difficult, And but the optimistic thing actually is that your father and your uncle, right? They were small children, more or less small children, before the Second World War, and they survived it, and they did a lot of good for their environment, for their countries, and actually this is kind of a heroic and optimistic story, because it didn't go this way for a lot of other people, but your father and your uncle are those people who contributed to Czechoslovakia, to Israel, to Australia. It's pretty great contribution, right? And so we can be happy for them, for sure, right? And actually, because of that, you're here now, for example.
Yes, yes, that too.
Yeah.
I think we will conclude.
Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. Really.